Hello, good evening, SC viewers. If you are new to this channel, kindly like, share, subscribe, and please do not forget to hit the notification bell. Mr. Chinedu Michael, we are seeing a new twist from IJAW Nation saying that they are going to consider their stand in Nigeria, talking about self-determination. We understand that the Jaws are not new to self-determination. In the past, Adakaboro rose to say they want IJAW ethnic nationality as a sovereign state. This time around, they are not taking it easy with Tinubu. They are not taking it easy with Nigeria. They are summoned in a meeting to consider their self-determination, and they want to collaborate with Biafra.
Yes, you can see this thing rose as a result of somebody from South who came and dwarfed IJAW's influence in Nigeria. Of course, not only in Nigeria, in South, and completely rendered them to a level of minority upon minority, minority upon minority of minority. No matter, So I think that was actually what have ignited, the anger. It's not necessarily the target on the Popo man, from Ubani area of Opopo. That Ubani area of Opopo was founded by an Igbo man.
But what does it mean for Biafra struggle? If I may ask?
No, what it means is that the realization. If you look at what Adekaboro actually did as at that time, was just within the axis of Bayelsa alone. And if you look at it now, you know that before then, the man from Sierra Leone has started. Before even it's not that people does not understand history. The Igbo man that took over Sierra Leone and Gambia and in those days have already started agitation for Biafra, and that was where as he got that inspiration, to proclaim less than 1 million people at that time as a sovereign Niger Delta Republic. And the people, if you look at it now, it was simply targeted on the influence, the growing influence of their own brothers. And when it became a reality, it did not say Biafra. He never said Biafra. He said Niger Delta Republic. And if the world want to grant somebody a nation or a country, a republic or a sovereignty, was in truth and honesty, was the IJAW nation, as at that time under as Igboro, has the economy, the population, the geographical space to actually make a nation.
But what do you want to to come together with Biafra?
We need to correct some of these things that planted is a certain seed that people are now feasting on, and to target their own brothers, their own neighbors, who have never for one day taken any of their life. Even when at the proclamation of Biafra, the man, instead of returning Niger Delta Republic, he joined Nigeria military against his own brother. I am not saying that people. He was a former police officer, as Igboro, but I'm not saying that people are not entitled. But in all rationality, at least when you come to understand that, okay, people are it has come to this level. A man from Bayelsa, Paul Opi, has already suggested Biafra. Then you switch over to Biafra Alliance as at that time, and let this synergy, because as at that time the viability of it, even till now, and that's what Wike is talking about, that with that Igbo influence there's no IJAW, but it has come to a point that they feel that the ego has been thrown to the gutters. And when you see so many of them that are coming up and saying what is actually going on. And I've seen some people saying that from that, as he's saying that I am from IJAW, I stand for Biafra. I am from Bomadi, I stand for Biafra. I am from Patani, I stand for Biafra. I am from Masoma, I stand for Biafra. You can see different people, coming from that angle saying it. But it has become a clear thing that at that level, there's going to be a serious reach out and amalgamation between the IJAW nation and, of course, the Biafran movement, which most of them have signaled that there's likely going to be, a serious union between these people. The Igbo man does not see the IJAW man as a minority. The Igbo man see an IJAW man as a brother, not as a minority.
If I may ask this question, this recent move of IJAW nation for self-determination, what does it mean for Biafra struggle and Biafra sovereignty?
Of course, what it means is they have seen what Odumegwu Ojukwu, Emeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, the Kemba one of Nnewi, saw so many years ago. They've also seen what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu saw. They've also seen what the likes of Simon Ekpa have seen. They have also seen that the quest to drive sanity among ethnic nationalities in Nigeria was only respected by the Igbos.
But ultimately, what does it mean for Nigerian unity
well, balkanization has always been the direction to go in an entity that refuses to work. As simple as that. There's no nation in the world today, including America, including UK, that does not have ethnic nationalities. There's no nation. So what is important is at this point in time is to put everything on the table and let the IJAW nation side. Well, let me tell you, from the Biafran Charter and the Biafran Constitution that is coming up any moment from now, and some of it has been made public. It shows that every resources that is coming from IJAW land will be for the IJAW people.
But if I may ask this question, do you advise the IJAW nation to collapse their struggle for IJAW sovereignty into Biafra struggle?
But every ethnic group in Nigeria, in Biafra land, is a nation.
In a nation.
Every ethnic nationality in Biafran land is seen as a nation.
No.
And I don't know. Yes, he's seen as a nation on his own. But when we are talking about, union, unification, you understand what I'm saying? When you're talking about unification, when you're talking about building a synergy, a country, a solid sovereignty, we are talking about respecting the respective will and autonomy of those minorities, ethnic national minorities that make up the component of a nation, of sovereignty of Biafra. That's what we're talking about. Nobody is going to relegate. The Igbo man is not interested in whatever that is coming out from IJAW. The Igbo themselves, as you can tell you categorically today, including control 7 states of the south and southeast region presently now, and to an extent middle belt. So you cannot tell me that those people from Idoma and others are also seen as a nation. So they just should not look at it from the angle that, what is it on the ground? What is on the ground is that they are not the only ethnic nationality within the Biafra geographical sovereignty. That's the fact. And if
we are talking about mutual respect for each and every,
I'm talking about unification of all the ethnic nations, even those who are tendering the referendum to join, to be accommodated, will be accommodated as long as it is all about sovereignty, it's all about humanity, it's all about advancement, it's all about economy, it's all about mutual interest, it's not about oppression. But it can tell you that it has become very clearly that the world themselves have come to realize that the Igbo people and the IJAW people can actually come together to move Biafra nation forward, considering the strength of each other. It is well needed. And another thing I want to add to this is that, at the present Pandev leaders and the IJAW Youth Council have already signified that this is the direction we want to go. And if this thing has come to this level, what is there that is remaining? Because if you look at it, to be a nation, it takes a lot of things. The world will look at a lot of things. So what that self-determination movement is signaling is unification with the Biafran sovereignty. That's what it means. The Idoma people are also signaling. The Ambazonia, we are looking at the expansion, because of the maritime strength that is attached to it. So I believe in the present day leadership of Pandev, what they are trying to do, because what has happened to Fubara today is an embarrassment to the IJAW people, as who have worked successfully. If I can quote Asari Dokubo, Tombolo, Ateketom, and so many of the ex-militants in this regard, they became up that, but I'm surprised that most of them are coming out to say that it was the Igbo people that have been ruling River State. But it wasn't, you can see how they were hiding under certain umbrella. They never recognized the presence of Igbo in River State. But they were not saying that it was the Igbo people in River State that were ruling. And it is time for the Ijaw people to rule. And I am in support of that. I'm not against it. I believe that the Ijaw should also have a fair share because, Bayelsa alone, where they are predominantly significant. With from what we are getting, the Ijaw community, the Ijaw people in River State cannot be able to muster enough voting strength to be able to vote for a governor in River State because of that level. But the way it looks now, would they say that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not correct? Would they say that what Ojukwu was talking about is not correct, But so what we're saying at this point that it has become a reality that we are seeing direct signal of threat to the extermination of the old Eastern region. And it's a plea to every one of them, and no matter where you come from, whether you are Urobo, Ishekiri, whatever you are, wherever you are, to look at it from the direction of unification and unity and push for independence, for continuity, and for recognition of the Republic of Biafra. Let me give you an instance. Anybody that is thinking in that direction that the reason for Biafra is crude oil. Plus, I don't want to cause any, I don't want to say anything funny at this point, but it will be unfortunate for people, for this generation of the young people, for this generation to think in that direction that the Biafra is about crude oil. Who tells you that? The Igbo man has not been in power for so long, for over 64 years, and the Igbos are still surviving without even the crude oil. And Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has said this severally. The interest is let the young people control their crude oil, let everybody control whatever he has. As simple as that. And that is not going to be what we are experiencing in Nigeria. They are trying to bring Fubara down because they felt that Fubara is sitting on the wealth of River State, where River State alone contributes about 45% to 50% of national revenue. So how would you justify that?
Let me say a very big thank you for
The conspiracy theory is in their DNA. Nigerian politics is all about money. Nigerian interest is all about money. But look at it, upon everything that was offered to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he rejected it. That's integrity. That's what I'm talking about, that's integrity. But you can see, even at that point, he felt that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to take away the contracts given to Tombolo and hand it over to Asari Dokubo. Then Asari Dokubo was just almost throwing the whole thing on the air. To an extent, he was challenging the Igbo nation. But you can see, in all this thing, nobody reacted. The Igbo nation never questioned Asari Dokubo. Even though we know that his great-grandfather is from Abia State.
And this is your brother you're talking about.
I'm telling you, so you can see the kind of damage the Northern Alliance with the Yorubas have done as a result of resources in that region.
Permit me to bring this angle because Asadipo himself is of video currently, acknowledging that a good number of places, almost all the places in River State have Igbo as their origin. The video is online.
Yeah, it's online, but is it not what we have been saying before? But why are they coming out to tell the reality? I told you there was a reason why John Mbata, that's why I respect Fubara. Yeah, I respect Fubara. Fubara, if you can look at what is happening now, Fubara never go against the Supreme Court judgment. He never. We have studied, but you can see the haste, the move, and everything, the speed at which the National Assembly was compromised. You can see the speed, the integrity of the presidency was compromised to declare and remove and suspend a democratically elected. It's an embarrassment not only to Ijaw nation, and secondly, he went as far as going the way of Gowon by declaring an emergency in the Biafran land. And Fubara is saying we are against it. And as simple as that. At every point in time, if you look at Fubara, what is the issue? When he was elected, he opened his, that was supposed to be his about leadership. It's not about enmity. He cannot be loyal to Wike.
And people say
I think we visited him.
people say they don't do Tabasco in that area.
Bros, yes, because that's the kind of philosophy they want to introduce. They can see, even though when it became very clearly, that the Igbo influence in the South was being diminished as a result of that war, they encouraged it too. I can tell you. But what did Igbo do? Igbo stayed and continued to do their things. You can see what, so the video that went viral a few months ago, that upon all the abandoned properties they claim that they have possession on, that Igbos have come back to buy all of them. But these are the people that have deep resources, too many resources, that are already on the hand of the Northerners. That's what I'm telling you, that time has come for the light of Assembly Kuba and the rest of them to be incapacitated. We want to see fresh rise of Tombolo. I want to see fresh rise of the likes of this man coming to define the real truth, not coming to embrace the real reality, a higher reality. That's what we are seeking for. The Igbo have never tampered with the resources. Those who are enjoying it now are still putting the entire Ijaw nation down into the gutters. And I think it is time, for whatever reservation they might have had in the past, to put it aside and know that Nigeria has become a threat and a common enemy. And at this point, Assembly Kubo, who's also saying a different thing now, to also remember there was a time it came very clearly that it is Bola Ahmed Tinubu or not. It was so obvious. But why is it that the job people are not asking him questions now? You see what I'm saying?
I was thinking that we have evolved, our democracy have evolved beyond government.
No, see, in the absence of justice, democracy is justice, is built on justice. The foundation of democracy in any part of the world is built on justice. And without justice, outside justice, without justice, my brother, people will think otherwise. And that is what is happening now. The Ijaw nation has been destroyed as a result of pollution, as a result of oil drilling in that area. The federal government, up to this moment, how many years from now, has not deemed it fit even to clean common Ogoni land. Up to this moment.
And Ogoni is the most polluted place in the whole world.
You can see. But what they are fighting now is to put an administrator there and make sure that the resources they continue to come unhindered.
Because of what you just said, the federal government have acknowledged that the fund that was seized for River State had not been released to the.
What it show you is it was clearly a deliberate act, and it is very unfortunate, that the senators, apart from Seriki Dixon, Engineer Baribe, and I think Tambua and the rest of them who walked out of this, calamity. And we are seeing people protesting why they should even carry out such a thing without going through the normal process. That the president have no right to do that. But you can see that what is happening is because they want to make sure that the resources that is coming from River State will come unhindered. They will sit on it and be able to use it to attack the same Ijaw people. And you can see what it's like now. But I must give kudos to the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde. Seyi Makinde has always been my man.
What position of Seyi Makinde on this?
Yes, I think a form of maybe there's a court option anyway, and also there's a solidarity for Fubara, and maybe from there they are likely going to take it up from that angle. But I can tell you that it might bring a kind of crisis between him and Wike, on this issue, because
let's even look at this angle, because though Victor may have denied it, because according to Sahara reporters, that $10,000 was given to a good number of senators to make them approve that emergency state of emergency in River State, and they accuse Victor has been one of those that collected, and of course, he played a significant role in distributing.
Yeah, I think it was clearly stated there in the platform owned by Sowore that $10,000, $5,000 or thereabout exchange hand. But I can tell you, they wouldn't have rushed to carry out such a thing if there's nothing already put on.